for me, it starts before they find the house. I find out what it is that they're actually wanting to accomplish. What's the goal?
This is a fun one because one of my very good friends, Bill Clayton, is on this podcast here today. And he's got his daughter, who is a newer loan officer in the industry, Victoria. So Bill and Victoria Clayton. And they are rednecks. Well, at least Bill is. Bill is a total redneck, and yet he does a ton of business. So proof that even a redneck can make a lot of money in this industry. So you're going to learn redneck mortgage in this episode. I'm having a little fun with that because he likes to mock the whole redneck thing a bit, but he truly is a thinker. He has a strategy, and a little bit of it is just, flow a little, just roll with it. But you will see that he is one of the most authentic people in the industry. And where I'm going with all this is the fact that no matter what technology brings into our industry, being authentic is, I think, the key or the secret sauce to the whole thing. And now you got version 2.0 with his daughter, and you're going to see how even as I think she said she's been doing loans for 3 years, and she's doing 6 to 8 transactions a month. That's better than most seasoned loan officers. So hope you guys enjoy this show. Hey, Bill. Hey, Victoria. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Dino.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to call this show, and I don't know what it is yet, but I have to know somehow, some way, we're going to put the word redneck into it.
And all they got to do is listen to it, and they'll know that.
That's right. And for all you guys watching right now, Victoria is his daughter, so he's not that redneck, okay? That's not his wife. So guys, thank you. I seriously appreciate it. And for a couple of rednecks, you guys are completely awesome, and I love you guys more than you know. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this here for a second, because yesterday, Bill and I received some bad news about a very dear friend of ours who passed away, Brent Wilson. And it got me thinking about all the people in my life and the people I care about and the experiences that I've had over the years and what's important and what's not. And we all were in a group together, a mastermind group, through Todd Duncan's elite program. And that's how we became friends. And over the years, we've become, I believe, really great friends that would do anything for each other. And so, for our friend that passed, we love you. And, we wish you well in the afterlife. And we wish your wife and kids just the absolute best right now. But here we are. I have a bunch of redneck jokes that I'm going to throw out when appropriate. But in the beginning, I want you guys to just give us a who are you, both personally and professionally.
You want to go first?
You can go.
All right. So I'll start with the personal stuff. I'm Bill Clayton, and my wife and I have been together now 25 years, or soon to be anyways. She's been demanding a great trip, and so hopefully we can figure that out. But we have 2 girls, of course, Victoria, and our youngest, Sam, short for Samantha. And yeah, we got to know Dino through and Lindsay and lots of other people through Elite. And that was fun. I think the biggest thing for me that was fun about that is we all did it together, and we would bring our families and our kids. And that was just something really special. As far as professional, I've been doing this a really, really long time, roughly 30 years, depending on how you look at it. Started part-time technically in, I think, 93. And I was basically, I grew up in the industry. My parents have always been in the business, and frankly, they still own an office across town. And so when I went to college at that point, I was dead set. I was going to be a mechanical engineer. I loved numbers. I was good at numbers, and engineering, that was my thing. Senior year, I decided, you know what? I like mortgage better. The whole time I've been processing all along, and I liked it. So I went full-time mortgage in roughly 97. And then the opportunity came for me to open an office for my parents in 99, which I did in Dothan, Alabama. Hired some staff there to run that, came back home, opened my first office here in Columbus, and been running ever since.
And then years and years later, we got the third generation. And Victoria, you've been in the business for how long?
It'll be 6 years in July.
And how long have you actually been doing loans?
3.
3. So the first 3 were loan officer assistant?
Yeah, I started assisting dad, really learning from the ground up. We have an ongoing joke that I didn't know how to spell mortgage when I started working for dad.
Most
Um,
people don't at start, just so you know.
It is kind of weird, isn't it?
So yeah, I graduated from Auburn in 2019. The goal was for me to go to vet school, so I was logging in, all my hours that I needed to go to vet school, was working in Florida, and then COVID happened, lost my job, ended up back here at home. That was not the goal, did not want to really be here. Couldn't find a job, and dad, the market was taking off, and he was like, well, come help me for a little bit. If you love it, you can stay. If you don't, then you can leave whenever you want. So I started from the ground up, and then fast forward, and here I am.
And I know you're hard on yourself, but I'm going to ask you, what kind of volume do you do your third year in?
I'm doing right under 2 million each month this contract this year, each month.
And how many units is that?
It's about 6 to 8 per month.
So for all of you guys listening right now that have been in this for a while and can't seem to put together 2 units a month, you might be needing to change the way you do a few things, because here's a
Oh,
third year
no.
in doing 6 to 8 units. You're doing something right. Even though you think you should be doing more, you're on track. You're doing great. And Bill, just for context, so people know that rednecks can do it too. What kind of, how many units do you average a month?
I'm usually around 10 or 12 units a month,
Okay.
depending on when you do it. Sometimes more.
And I know you're mostly VA. Victoria, are you mostly conventional, or are you VA as well?
It's I'm it's mostly VA and then FHA.
Okay. And I'm assuming your area is very VA heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're right here with Fort Benning. So it's just naturally a lot of what we do.
Okay. So guys, I wanted you guys both to come on because, number one, I've really enjoyed talking with Victoria the last few times, and just personally been amazed at the kind of volume she does, even, with just being in the business really for a short period of time. But also I love the fact that she's so hard on herself and thinks that's not enough, even though that's more than what most people do. So I love that part about you. And I just want to trying to figure out, the I guess the path that you guys have taken, of how you get business, and then I want to dive a little bit into how you manage the business, right? And then in the final piece, kind of the um, how you bring it all back, right? The after piece, how you stay in touch with your clients, and how you have better retention, and how you get referrals. So if we just start with the first part of it, where does the majority of your business come in from?
So mine's about 100% realtor partner business right now. I've gotten a few, I probably have a handful of client referrals.
And I would say that's a big success for me. Whenever I got a referral, somebody asked me one time, when do I get my high? And I thought about it, and it was when I get a referral, not when the paycheck comes, because I just assume the paycheck's going to come. I always know I'm going to close. But when I get a referral, I feel like I did a great job, and that's why I got a referral. So that's when I got my high. And I, I mean, there's guys that are buying leads and doing all that stuff, but I'm telling you, there's nothing like the high of getting a referral, because somebody thought enough of you to do that. So congrats. And then, I'm gonna stick with Victoria for a minute before I head over to Bill. A lot of younger people, new in the business, let's call it, right? Forget age for a second. Feel like, why would somebody trust them? They don't even know what they're talking about yet. And I even buy into that. A brand new person, a realtor has to count on them for their commission to come through. And if you screw up, that's a big deal. So how have you gotten past that, piece of I'm young, I'm new, but yet you're getting people to trust you because you're getting 100% of your business from referrals from realtors. So how do you get over that?
Well, when I first started, I was like, how do I go out and sell myself? Because it was a big confidence piece that I didn't really have. And I started selling, honestly, dad and my team. So whatever I didn't know, I had a team and him that, were always going to be there for whatever I didn't know. But I always say, I'm not sure. And being 100% transparent with people was a big piece. Like, hey, I'm not 100% sure on that, but let me refer to, I work alongside my dad who's been in for 30 plus years and I have a great team behind me. Let me find out for you. Me just being honest was a big piece. And then I started just targeting, honestly, newer realtors that were in when I kind of joined. And then once I could sell them and show them how I could, serve their clients and at 100%, then I started seeing who they knew so then they could vouch for me. So then it was kind of building kind of my reputability and the trust that way, which was a big piece.
And have you been through any coaching or seminar type stuff, or have you just piggybacked off the hundreds of thousands of dollars your dad has spent on coaching?
Yeah. He takes me to the conferences that he goes to, so that's a big piece. Like we were just at GrowthCon even with you guys in Chicago, so I get to piggyback off those.
So, Phil, let's talk about your daughter working next to you. First of all, how incredible is that?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, she takes care of everything. She's really good at the things that I'm not. And so it's a fun and kind of interesting dynamic for sure.
And how do you get your business?
60% of the folks that I get to work with are typically either repeat clients or they are introduced to me by those that I've served before. That's is usually somewhere between 55 and 65%, depending on when you look at it. But yeah, on average, around 60%.
And would you say when you first started, the majority of your business came from realtors, or how did you go out and get started?
Well, in Dothan, it was realtors. And when I came back here, it was primarily builders. So it's been a little different over the years. And then over time, it's turned into now mainly referrals from word of mouth.
Yeah. And Victoria, if I go back to you for a minute, again, newer in the industry, you talked about finding newer agents as well. I know a lot of people say stay away from them, go find agents that do business and so on and so on. I have to say, I actually have found tremendous success from newer agents as well because they're out there hustling. They're not all going to make it, but a portion of them will. And when I was younger, it was great because we were doing it together. And then when I got just a little bit older, but not too old, I could actually be a mentor to them. And they didn't want to feel embarrassed going to somebody in their office when they didn't know. And because I had no judgment, and I was good at coaching them, I actually helped with a lot of younger agents and we grew and they turned out to be some of my best agents. So I hate when people say, stay away from new agents, stick with ones that are doing more volume. First of all, they already have relationships and they have all this. I think it's a great opportunity to go in with younger agents and have this fresh blood. So question for you. How do you partner with them so that you can create a relationship? Because I know, trust is a big thing. And just going to them And leaning on your dad is fine, right? Leaning on your team is fine, but there's got to be something a little more than that gets them to trust you, that creates a relationship that is built upon.
Yeah. So I found most of them usually on social media was the first thing that I was finding them on. And then I was kind of old school and it's funny because we were in Chicago. They were like, don't take people to coffee, and I was like, oh, that's what I did is I took them to coffee. And so I asked these realtors, to go to coffee with me. I really didn't really ask anything about their business because I knew they were brand new. And I really just got to know who they were. So like, who they family, where they were from, how they got in the business, what they were doing prior. And then really after that, I'm really big on follow up. So I was hitting them probably about once a week saying, hey, have you talked to any clients? Have you gotten any leads? What questions do you have? And just trying to help build that rapport that I was just there as a resource. Any questions on loan types, anything like that. And then if they had leads, I was offering to reach out to follow up with them to help them with that because they were kind of drowning, trying to figure out what was going on and which way was up. And I was like, I can be that person that calls your leads for you to see if we can get them to convert. And just showing them that I was willing to do that. And I really didn't have any, stake in the game at that point. I was just trying to prove myself. That really, like, they were like, Victoria was always checking in on me and always asking, what I could do. And, any open houses, I did a lot of open houses. I still do. I was doing 2 open houses every weekend. But just showing up for them, that was a big thing. It was just building that relationship.
When you say you were doing them, were you actually sitting in the open house with them, or were you just hitting them
Yeah.
up round and
I
round?
was sitting in there with them. So, I mean, open houses are hit or miss, right? So it's like sometimes people aren't gonna come, but I mean, if not, then it was 2 hours with me sitting with that agent, getting to know them more, and so it's kind of a no-brainer.
That's what I always used to say. It's like, I don't, when I was doing them, it didn't even really matter to me if anybody came in. It was the 2 hours I got to spend one on one and connect with somebody. That's where I think the magic happened. So, Bill, I first, when was the last time you did an open house?
I don't even remember.
I don't know.
And she worked for a lot of them for me. So, yeah, no, I haven't done
Yeah,
that.
that was a big thing too, like, he has some, like, more seasoned agents, and they do open houses, and I would be like, "Hey, I'll do them for him." So then it was just getting my name out there because it was bigger agents with bigger presence, but posting that we would be at the open house, and so that also just helped put my name out there.
Yeah, that's great. And then, Bill, I always thought when I was doing loans, my process, right, the under contract process, I tried so hard to do a good job during that period of time that that was my way of, number 1, never losing a client, number 2, getting referrals from clients. It was never, I'm gonna wait till later to ask for a referral. It was, I was gonna knock them off their feet with such an incredible experience that they were gonna want to refer me right then and there. And you've been doing it for a while, and I know you, even as a redneck, you're a big thinker, and you dissect little things a lot more than I ever thought you did. Um, Tell me about your process, right? Like, what knocks them off their feet and makes them enjoy working with you so much?
How much time we got?
Give me the
Um,
shorter version.
all right, I'll stay to the point. For me, it starts before they find the house. In an ideal setting, I meet with them. I find out what what it is that they're actually wanting to accomplish. What's the goal behind the purchase? What's the goal behind the refinance? And when I understand that, then I can pair with that, a basic planning and mortgage to make that goal a reality. And so when people see you actually pour over numbers, I love numbers. I think if you're true to numbers, you can use them to tell a story. And when people see you do that, they just, I don't know, they know that I'm asking the questions and I'm approaching it from a curiosity standpoint. So they naturally just kind of start trusting you. And then from there, it's, as they find new houses that fit the bill, then they're bouncing them off of us. We help them really put together what is the offer and starting through the negotiations process. So really, the majority of what I do with people is frankly before they ever sign a contract. And then, of course, afterwards with follow up. Once they're under contract, that's really where the team takes over. My LP2 or production partner, she goes through and tees it all up, gets the disclosures ready. I run through it with them and walk through all of the numbers as they're now specific to that house, date, closing, contract, etc., and make sure that they're comfortable with everything, that all their questions are answered. And then I schedule their next conversation with me is the closing disclosure. We schedule that right up front, 3 days out from the expected closing date, so I can walk through that with them and make sure that there's no other unanswered questions, and then the close. The team handles pretty well everything else.
Let me ask you this: in the beginning process, when you're working with them, what percentage of your clients? Because you said the ideal scenario, right? That you meet with them. What percentage of your clients do you actually meet with?
Oh, I meet with all of them.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, either face to face or on Zoom like this.
Okay. And what percentage would you say is face to face versus Zoom?
3/4.
Wow.
I was gonna say 70%. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting, right? Because obviously, me being in California, uh, I mean, maybe if I tried harder, it would be. I I gave up on trying a long time ago because that would also postpone the meeting. Trying to find a time that they could come in and all that. Maybe it's a little different in Georgia, but I love the idea of, I call it the new belly to belly, and that's the virtual, the Zoom, conference, because you're still connecting with somebody, I believe, a lot more so than you would over a phone call or even worse, email. And I think it's super important that no matter how deep we get into AI and technology in general, that we don't forget about the real power of this business, which is connecting with people. And I don't think there's any better way to connect than 70% in person, 30% virtual, right? Like,
Mhm.
either one of those is going to be significantly better than any other awesome technology that's out there. So I'm glad you brought that up. I remember, like, years ago when I was younger, you'd win some, you'd lose some. But I remember one day looking back, and I never lost a deal that I met with somebody in person. And when you think of the power of that, right? Like, I've never lost a deal when I met with somebody in person. So I would implore all of you guys listening right now, like, make an effort to meet with them. I don't care, how difficult the schedule is or what maybe you don't have to postpone the first meeting for schedules to align if you're in an environment like in California, but make an effort to meet them afterwards. And I know before I stopped producing, I made a big effort to change mine from phone calls to virtual. So I was, in a sense, still meeting with them all, just in a different way. But that that is the next belly to belly. So I think that's a really important piece. And let me ask you this question too. I'm just curious. I don't actually know the answer, even though I know you well. When when you get a referral, can you walk me through what the process looks like? Does somebody text message you? Does somebody email you? Does somebody just randomly call you and say I was referred? Like, what's the process you have?
All the above. I mean, all the above. I have, and sometimes it's text messages, phone, email, whatever. But I did want to kind of go back really quick on your point there. I think as far as meeting with people, if I can, there are those that come through that they're like, I want to buy this house, and my agent told me to give you a call, and those, you don't have time to do all the planning in advance. So it's a whole different conversation. I still try and backfill in, but it's not the same. As far as how leads come in, how I'm introduced to people, it's all the above. And then So whether it's an email or phone or whatever, I'm trying to get them over the phone as quickly as possible to start finding out what they're wanting to do with this next purchase.
And so it's interesting. I had made it was a hard rule that if an agent wants to refer me, they could never just say, call this person. I always made them either do an email or text, and I preferred email introduction. And oftentimes I'd even give them a script if they didn't know what to write, so that it was just important to me. I felt like number one, first and foremost, everybody was involved. If the client doesn't respond back, then the agent knows I'm not the problem, they're the problem. If I didn't respond, or my team, right, then we're the problem. And by doing that, I felt like it always kind of it kept the agent in the loop and showed authority and I don't know what the word is, but my efforts to put this forth, right? Like it was a good way to keep everybody in the loop. That was the first thing I used to do a lot. But then the other piece is after you talk to them, and I'm curious because you're old school. I want to see where you're at on this. Uh, do you send them a link to go fill out an application first? Do you talk with them first? What's your process? Do
I
you even have them fill out a link like an application?
Well, so I really don't like people filling out stuff online. I think there's a lot that of questions that can be asked that I don't get a chance to ask them. But in today's world, I actually offer both a lot of times. I'll say, we have an online website that you can fill out if you want on your own, or if you prefer, frankly, I do. I'd like to just spend about 10-15 minutes with you collecting the basics, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I love that, and I'm old school too. Um, I asked. Actually, I'm gonna back into this real quick. I'm gonna ask Victoria. Victoria, because you're obviously younger, new generation. Do you send them a link to fill out a loan application? Is that just part of your thing, or do you fill it out for them?
I prefer phone call, which I'm a little more on the old school side because I just find that it's easier and it causes less stress if I can just walk through it with them and I have that initial phone call. But I have some where they'll just be like, I just want the link. And so with that, I actually started doing the group texting with the realtor and my production partner because I was running into her like, "Oh, we didn't hear from her," or, whatever it was, and that way it was all on the same page, so then when they do say they wanna do it online, then it's all the links in the group message, so then when it's not done, it's kinda like, "Well, I sent it." But I feel like I can get the application to convert if I can do it on a phone call versus just sending them the link because then it kinda gets lost.
Yeah, my whole thing was everybody else sends them a link. So am I going to be like everybody else? Or am I giving somebody the real white glove treatment, first class, everything? And I remember asking a loan officer one time. A loan officer was kind of fighting me on it. And this was a long time ago. So the loan amounts are off a little bit. But and actually you guys probably think this is still great, but I said, all right, let me ask you a question. If I referred you somebody right now and they had $1 million loan, would you say, here's the link, fill it out, and then we'll talk? Or would you like jump on the phone call and make sure it's like, we're going to lock this one up? Right now in California, now I have to say a $2 million loan in order to make somebody feel excited about it. Uh, but the answer was always the same. It was like, no, I'm never going to send $1 million guy a link. I'm going to make sure I white glove it the whole way through. And I'm like, why wouldn't you do that for everybody then? Right? Like, why don't you let the Loan Depots and the Rockets and everybody else be who they are? And why don't you be somebody they can't be? Right? Like that's what makes us special in this big market of technology. We use it to be more effective and efficient, but we have something they don't, and that's like genuine care and personality, you know, the ability to connect with somebody in person and really like care for them. So I'm glad you guys said that. And look, I know there's a lot of successful a lot of successful mortgage advisors out there that just say, here's the link, and you can do more volume that way. But I think there's something special as we progress down this road of technology. Do you want to be just like everybody else, or do you want to be just a little bit different so you can make sure that you don't get washed away in technology? So, um, if we kind of just keep moving forward now, right? Like the loan closes, what kind of a process do you guys have right at closing? Because that's a pivotal time. There's a lot of stress, sometimes a lot of happiness, sometimes some tears, sometimes a little bit of everything, and then it falls into this space, right, where nothing has to happen, but something can happen if you wanted to. So, guide me through funding, closing, and then what happens over that next 12 months.
So this is actually an ongoing project, first of all, but the basic workflow as it sits right now is there is a follow-up that's, I want to say it's roughly, I think it's 3 weeks after closing,
Yeah.
where we call and make sure that they've got everything they need for making a payment and so forth. How did the move go? Everything settled in, etc. But then there's the follow-up call. At the moment, it's 12 months out to see if, or just to check in, say hi. I used to do a really heavy AMR and all that stuff, and I've just found that you really want to do all that. So I just really started keeping it light, and I call it just call and say hi. So basically, I just call and say hi, at least every 12 months to where are you at? And when I'm calling to say hi, I've got their notes. I know all of the plans and all of the budgets and what the future plans are at that point from when I met them and walked through things in years past. So I've kind of got that in context as I'm talking to them and seeing, is the house still meeting the need? How's everything going? What are your thoughts now around you might want to do something for the forever home or the move up home in now X number of years and so forth. So just little things like that. They know that, well, I actually paid attention and I have a terrible memory, but I do have all those notes. So I'm able to go back and look at all those notes and at least I sound intelligent to be able to walk through everything with them. But what I'm wanting to do further that, and I just need to, I guess, do it. But I want to update that to 6 months to check in, say hi. Because if it's watered down, I can do it a lot more often. And secondly, and this may be another topic. So if I'm getting onto another, you just tell me to hush. But I want to start doing like classes with my close clients around how do I accelerate payments on my house? Do I want to accelerate payments on my house? Do I want to divert that into investments? And if so, who do I talk with about doing that? Really just taking all those plans that we really set out to in the beginning and just really breathing life to that and helping that as an ongoing kind of basis. Um, so that's some ideas I'm kind of throwing around for you.
So that's interesting. I like the concept of that. Would you then have a topic, a class, reach out to all your clients and engage and say, hey, if you guys want to learn how to pay off your loan faster, this is the time frame we're doing it, or is it a recording that you just send them?
No, I think it would be what I've been thinking of doing it, and again, I shouldn't go do it. But is to really just to kind of have an open forum. Because I mean, reality, you'll have maybe 10, 15 people show up. So we can talk through, and like I think a topic right there would be, all right, I want to pay my house off early and I'm going to devote $500 a month towards that effort. What's the best way to do it? Do I save up money? Do I invest money and then allow that to snowball and use that to later pay off the house? Or do I just go and go directly at the mortgage and start knocking that down or what? And so I've got tons of case in points, I guess, if you will, of folks that I'm actively working with or have recently worked with that I can use as illustration toward that effort of, well, you could do it this way, and then here's what will likely happen and so forth.
Yeah, I love that actually. Can you give me just I guess don't give me, give everybody a couple topics, just some ideas if somebody's interested in doing this that they can think about just to get them started.
Well, as far as okay,
You know what I'm doing here is I'm actually making you think about it so I can get your ass doing it. That's where I'm gonna end up with this when it's done.
it's going to be recorded, and people are going to be saying, "So, what'd you do with that idea?" It's not an. So, yes, I am very much so guilty of over perfecting. So topic. I mean, I think really and honestly is it's kind of just that of how do I pay my house off early? What's the best, safest, fastest way to pay my house off early? And then I just feel like having that open forum and just kind of thinking and talking through that with people would be the best way to do it. I think I answered your question. I hope so.
You know what's interesting over the years, stuff that I've realized, there's things that make sense financially, and then there's things that make sense emotionally. And I say that because I've learned through the years that I can, with numbers, make 100% sense of how you should do something if you want to pay off your house early. And yet, if somebody doesn't emotionally buy into it, they can't handle it. It doesn't work, right? Like back, I don't do, or we don't do arms as much as we used to, right? But back in the days, prior to 2008, doing a 5, a 7, or a 10-year arm was quite common. And it made a lot of sense to me if you were if you had a high probability of moving within the next 5 years, why not do a 7-year arm and save, with our prices over here, let's call it $300 a month. Uh, and then you got $300 a month that you could either invest somewhere or you can use to pay down the house faster, right? But if somebody couldn't handle knowing what might happen in 7 years, just didn't work.
I'll give you a live example of kind of where this goes with folks. So I've got a couple right now that I actually met with them a year ago, and we laid out plans around what they wanted to do. They had two modest homes, one that they lived in day to day, and then they had a lake house. I mean, a modest lake house, but I mean it's a lake house, and it was not something they really wanted to live in day out. But they really needed a bigger, nicer, newer house because it's getting bigger and so forth. So I laid out the plan for them, and both houses owned outright. So equity, tons and tons and tons of equity. But otherwise, the majority of their net worth was equity. So we laid out the plan and the idea of okay. So first things first, we need to sell the lake house, gain that liquidity, and then let's start looking for the next house. And we'll leverage that towards the effort of buying the next house, getting the budget to where you're comfortable. No one wants to be in where the payment's so high that they are like, right. So get the budget to where it's comfortable, and then turn around and sell the current home afterwards. Take that and put it into investments and allow that to grow over time so that you're then able to then come back, wipe it all out, debt free again. I just met with them last week. They sold the house, the lake house, and they have all that cash sitting in the bank, in checking. But it's only been there for a minute. And so they're going to then go in, and we're already under contract now to buy that house that was perfect for what their situation is. And then the plans that they already now have the current home going on the market. I think maybe it's already on the market. So it's definitely happening now to take that money and then put it into investments. And I've introduced them to a financial advisor to show them how to make all that happen. And according to what I laid out for them, if they just assumed an 8% per year annual return on that money, they'll be in a position to pay the house off in 4 years. Moreover, she actually wants to retire in 10 years. So at this point, their income is at its greatest in the near future for them for likely the next 10 years. So to further the investments that will endure retirement for them over the years, we also looked at what would that number look like in that investment account if you just waited to pull the trigger and pay the house off. What if you just waited until year 10 when you're ready to retire? And based on those numbers, they'd have over $500,000 left over after they pay off the house if they just wait and do so in 10 years, furthering their investments. So that was exciting. I like that. That was fun. It was fun.
You guys listening, there's a difference. And I say this a lot on the show, right? A loan officer has a job, a mortgage advisor has a career. And that's what the difference is right there. If all you care about is slamming somebody into a loan and then moving on to the next, that's a loan officer. If you understand the overall structure, if you understand all the options that people have, and then you learn how to present that to somebody, that that changes and elevates who you are in your profession, and that's how you become, better. So I love that story. That was great. Uh, Victoria, question for you. You learned from your dad,
Mhm.
but would you say you're a version 2.0? Because oftentimes, version 2.0 is a little better than 1.0.
No, I won't say I'm not yet, but the goal is to get there.
She's being modest. I mean, she is way better at stuff like that than me. We are polar opposites. Polar opposites.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Mm.
I have a guy that I coached for a while. His name is Mike, and he was brand new in the business. Sharp guy though. He was a CPA. Decided he wanted to do loans, and I coached him. He did everything I told him to do, and he got really good. And lo and behold, several years later, he's now my partner here at Ethos. And I joke because he would never say this, but he always took everything I taught him and he just gave it a little spin, right? Just a tiny little spin so it fit his personality a little better. And then after all the years, right, I was like, hey, that's pretty good. That's what'd you do? And he tells me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, gosh dang it, there's this new version 2.0 around and it's better than 1.0. So where I'm going with it is that you should always be trying to better what you do. Don't ever get complacent. Things are changing so much. Don't ever get complacent. Always work on version 2.0, version 3.0, keep on going. Look at all the different software companies out there, right? Like they're always doing updates. That's what we need to do as well in our profession. Update after update after update. Um, I'm going to take 1 minute here to pull up a couple of these redneck jokes and see if we got any that resonate with you guys. I asked a client from rural Tennessee for his debt to income ratio. He said, well, I owe money to everybody in 3 counties, so it's pretty high. Then he asked if deer hunting season counted as income. Um, the difference between a redneck and a mortgage broker. A redneck knows when to stop digging himself into a hole. uh, I tried to explain APR to a guy once. He goes, I already got one of those, a pickup truck. Why do I need another? Let me see if there's any good ones here. I told a client his property value had appreciated. He said, great. How much is that deer? How much is that in deer stands? Nothing says strong application like when a guy's W-2 is from a company that no longer exists, but his hunting license is current. Man, is that all rednecks do is hunt?
I think largely.
Every
Yeah.
joke is about hunting. People ask last one. People ask why I love this job. I say, where else can you help someone achieve the American dream of owning a home, even if they think Fannie Mae is a country music festival? All right. Had to have a little fun with that one. All right. Victoria, what is your favorite book?
This is bad. I haven't read a book in a long time. I actually was just cleaning out my office and I just put out, was it The Power of Who? Because I almost talked a lot when we were just at GrowthCon, and I never took the time to read it, and I do need to read more. So that that's my goal.
The first one that actually captured my attention is still one of my favorites. It's called The Secret. It's written by John DeJulius a long time ago. And it's all about all of those little secret systems that companies use to figure out what is important to people and to just provide an amazing experience. It's based on some of the Ritz-Carlton aspects of how they learn from clients and their experiences in the past to then anticipate their needs and wants on the next visit. And I just thought it was fascinating.
All right. Real question. Do rednecks read a lot or no?
I don't think so.
No. I actually fall asleep if I'm trying to read something. So I usually listen to it on audio. But that book, actually, I was able to read it from cover to cover a few times and didn't fall asleep. So, yeah, I guess that is.
That's hilarious. Just for fun, because then I'm going to get to the next question, but just for fun, we went to a retreat in Cabo, and you took your family out for sushi. We were at the one and only Bomia, which for those of you guys that haven't been there, it is freaking expensive. Like every little thing. I think breakfast was like over $100 every time. Anyways, you guys went out for sushi, and I want you to tell everybody your sushi experience.
Which one? We did it a few times.
The one where you don't get to order what you want to order.
Oh, actually, I thought that was really amazing. So they got this restaurant that's right there. It's like on a bridge in the a walkway that you kind of walk on. Anyways, it is beautiful. It's all lined up where you walk in. And it's just one huge, just I guess area where they're doing the food prep, and then on each side is seats. And there was this guy there. He was the chef, and he was assigned to us, our table, and he was prepping everything right there in front of us, and the precision and the methodology that he was using on every single little thing. I mean, he literally had tweezers that he was grabbing this stuff and sticking it on this and that and the other. You move this stuff around, and it was insane. I don't know what stuff half of it was called, but it was delicious. I can tell you that. And then we got the bill in the end. It was something special.
so that's what I remember. I remember you telling me about the bill, like over $1,000 or something, right?
No, it's like I think $1,000 for 3 of us to have dinner. And I was like, oh my God, I hope you guys enjoyed it. But it's crazy. But it was a one experience. I mean, it was just amazing to watch him go through everything so carefully and put it all together. It reminded me of that movie that Todd had told us all about, the sushi movie. You probably remember the name of it, but it's escaping me at the moment, where they were just so specific about how everything went and the methodology behind it. Why? It was cool.
It was the Michelin restaurant in I think Japan somewhere, and the intern or whatever you call him worked there for like 20 something years, trying to work his way up to being the master chef, right? Sushi guy.
Right.
The waiting list was like a year long, and doesn't matter what you like or don't like, you only get whatever they're making that day, period. Right. So let's finish this off. You guys can choose who goes first, but my favorite question, always the last question of the podcast. If I took you guys, dropped you off somewhere in the United States where you didn't know anybody, and you get all the knowledge you have, but you don't know anybody, right? So you can't just go call on your agents or your past clients, and you don't have a lot of money. I give you enough of an allowance to cover your bills and maybe just a little extra if you wanted to get creative with some way of trying to grow your business. But again, very little. What do you do? And oh, by the way, you can't go see your family or talk to your family until you make $1 million. And Victoria, that means your little two French bulldogs. You will not be able to see them unless you make $1 million. How are you guys going to do that?
You go.
Oh, okay. Well, so that would be a big change for me because, well, most of my folks are, yeah, from other folks. But um, I still think that the real estate agents that people are trusting to help them go find the houses, that's going to be the most viable source of people for us to work with right then. So if I was in a new area, I would be looking for, um, I would be putting together a list of those agents that I would say that are the kind of the upper middle end of who's doing what. And because there are going to be people who are already moving with a lot of folks and already have the contacts in place. But they're not going to be those that already have necessarily these rock solid alliances of people that they want to work with. And then I would simultaneously be sitting down and getting to know the local title agents, insurance agents, financial advisors, etc., as quickly as possible, letting them know what I do that I could do to help them with their clients and also to reach other clients, and then use that as a segue for them to introduce me to those people on my list. And I would be going and meeting with those agents on my list, probably talking, but I would be meeting with those agents on my list to get to know them and tell them about how we operate and really bolting on to that agent that's more methodical with how they want to handle working with folks. Be that filter, that person who's able to set up the front end for them so that they're able to then get all of the information as far as what a client is actually comfortable with as far as budget. Well, how does this need to look as far as numbers on the front end and so forth? And the buyer's already comfortable with it and bought in because we've already gone through it meticulously together. And so then that agent can take that or show them houses that fit that criteria. Then not only are they signing contracts, but they're actually closing. And that, I think that's probably more important. So that, and then after that, as far as when people are going through that process, the follow-up process that ensues while they're out looking for houses, that's the other part of what I would be bringing into those agent partnerships is the follow-up. I call it calendar stacking. It's really, really simple. It's depending on how fast they're wanting to move into their home. We're either going to call them every week, or if it's in a couple 2-3 months, we're going to call them every other week, and everyone else gets called on every 4 weeks. Everybody gets a touch at least once every 4 weeks, some twice, if not 4 times during that same time frame. But everyone gets a touch, so that's what I would do is to be going with them and going through those aspects.
Old school, basically.
Yeah, you put that whole thing into that 2 words. So yeah, old school.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of, I've thought about that question, and I personally, I think would go 80% old school and 20% new school. Because at the end of the day, old school's still, I think, going to win, but the 20% might put a little bit of rocket fuel on it. That's the social media stuff and, some of the cool AI stuff that you can do that we wouldn't have been able to do unless we had some marketing department and we gave them, a week's notice before. Now we can just like whip something up and look amazing uh, when we go to these meetings, right? But Victoria, what about you? How would you go about it? I mean, you're doing it right now, right? Like, so
Yeah, I was like, I probably like wouldn't change too much. I would be more present on social media, but I would probably pull up social media wherever the new city is, try to find younger agents that are kind of in my same realm. Some that are already closing business and some that are brand new. Something that I also did is that I went to so we have like a board of realtors. They would do events like almost weekly. I would go to those events every single week. And that was something really big. So I would find the local board office, and that was because I didn't know a lot of people. Like I was, I'm his kid, but I knew people, but they didn't really know me. And so I was just making myself at every social event that I could ever be at, I was doing 5 days a week. And so I would definitely do that again because it gets you in front of a lot of people at once. And so that was really big. And then I would meet insurance contacts, title attorneys at those events. Um, and then I would probably do, if I had the knowledge that I had now, I would have the confidence to go do like open house pop buys. A lot of realtors don't have like on-site lenders, and they're the ones hustling on the weekends at an open house is kind of how I look at those. So I would personally go by and pop by and see who I could know that, needs a lender, or a new resource, and just introduce myself that way.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Bill, question for you. If you were an attractive young woman, do you think you could get more loans?
A lot more loans. I mean, I was
Yeah,
just
me
thinking
too.
about that. You were talking about all the social stuff and everything. No one wants to see me on social media talking about stuff. But her, oh yeah. I mean, so yeah. Anyway,
All right, you
for
guys.
sure,
Thank
very,
you for
very.
joining me. I
Yes,
appreciate
ma'am.
it. It
All
was
right.
fun. Even though I know a lot about you guys already, this was a ton of fun for me. So thank you. I hope you guys all learned a little bit about the Claytons, and hopefully you took a little something from what they do, and you can implement it into your daily lives, into your career, to enhance upon it. Because as we said earlier in the show, you should always be looking for the next version, right? Version 2.0, version 3.0, and so on and so on. Things keep changing and evolving. So should you. Don't get stuck doing the exact same thing all the time. Aside from that, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for being a part of our tribe here. And I'm just grateful, truly, truly grateful as we've made the top 100 at Apple Podcasts. And we got a ton of new stuff coming. And I am looking forward to sharing it with you guys. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.